What's up, guys? Today it is a special day because we're going to bring on the first guest of this YouTube channel, and it's a good friend of mine named Brittany, also known as Biohacking Brittany on Instagram. And you probably guessed it, she's an avid biohacker and also a certified nutritionist. And that's why I wanted to bring her on today, because she really knows a lot in terms of things like gut health, work-life balance, because a biohacker and a certified nutritionist really approaches the human body and mind from a holistic perspective, really optimizing every part of our existence. That's what biohackers do, and Brittany is a perfect example of somebody who's obsessed with that and will stop at nothing to do so and help others to do so. She takes on clients, she works with people as a nutritionist, as a biohacking consultant. So if you are looking for somebody like that, Brittany would be great to hit up. So a quick preface to this video, it's basically just a conversation between me and Brittany. Hopefully you find some golden nuggets out of it. Starts out kind of talking about gut health, and then we kind of move into work-life balance, and then finally just kind of talking. So you're just kind of a fly on the wall in this conversation. So I hope you like this type of content. If you do, let me know. I'll bring on more of my friends. Guys, give a warm welcome to Brittany. Her Instagram's Biohacking Brittany, if you want to go follow her. And she talks about biohacking, which really relates to this channel, which is all about unlocking your prime in life. Like currently we're mainly male, but ultimately I'd like to provide some tips for females as well, and whatever gender. But it's basically about unlocking your prime. So anything, like pretty much everything you talk about and is perfect for our audience here, because it's just about improving your life, optimizing. So I figured we could dive into a couple topics and improve these people's lives.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you for having me.
Is there one pressing question or problem that your recent clients have come to you to speak about or help get your help to improve that, you think that a lot of people might struggle with?
Yeah. So, I mean, what we were briefly chatting about before, I do a lot of work around gut health now. And
Yeah.
so when I first started my health journey, like forever ago, like 11 years ago or so, it was rooted in gut health issues. And through healing that, I learned a lot, educated myself a lot, saw a ton of different practitioners really to get results. And now as a practitioner myself, that's kind of where I lean. Is it's either hormones for women or it's gut health for everybody. It's kind of like those two separate sections. And yeah, especially with Viome, which is like a gut health test that you can do that basically looks at like all of the bacteria in your gut and the functions. I got a lot of people reaching out wanting to understand the results better because it's so comprehensive. They don't really know how to wrap their head around it. So that's kind of where I've shifted in the last couple of months, is really just like helping people analyze the data that they're getting. And it can even be like other data too, like DNA or a lot of like blood work people do. Because what I'm finding now is like, especially with COVID, like we're doing so much at-home testing with our health now, which is great because we're really quantifying ourselves, especially as biohackers. But it doesn't mean we actually understand the results or understand what to do with the data. Like if your results say something, how do you change your daily life in order to actually make that single result better? There's like kind of this like disconnect between taking action and what your data says. And so that's kind of where I come in right now.
If you guys aren't familiar, Viome is a gut health testing package. It's probably the best on the market, at least for the price point.
Yeah.
And what it does is, well, I'll let you tell them what it does, and then we can talk about, some steps in implementing it. And so describe Viome for people who don't know what it is.
Yeah. So it's basically a stool test, and it's at home. And they look at
let's real quick, let's paint the visual in
the stool
case
test.
Nobody's done a stool test. You're shitting into a paper or a plastic thing, and you're digging through it, putting it in vials, right?
Yeah, it's interesting if you haven't done it before.
Yeah.
Choose the food you eat before wisely. That's all I have to say.
Agreed. I've done many of them.
Yeah. But yeah, so it looks at the different functionings of the gut, in terms of like how well you're digesting, like the gut lining, the bacteria, viruses, like all sorts of things. It looks at how you digest fat, if you have leaky gut, how you're doing with protein. It's very comprehensive. And it's really cool. Like when I did it for the first time last summer, I learned a lot about things that I was struggling with eating, and also just different things that I needed to work on, like specific protein fermentation and like other complicated things like that. And so now they have an app, but they also give you results in like a PDF, a couple of PDFs, and it'll go through all the foods they think are superfoods for you, and then all the foods they also think you should avoid, supplements, and other recommendations.
Why would people want to test their gut microbiome? And the tag-along question to that, for more clarity, would be like, what are some common gut problems that people come to you with, and you know, what would be the reasons you would tell somebody to go ahead and seek out that information through the Viome test?
Yeah, so it's a lot of IBS, a lot of SIBO, constipation, just like digestive issues in general. They're not very regular. Maybe they're having pain. A lot of people with skin issues too, which can be very reflective of what's going on in your gut, whether it's acne or texture issues like bumps everywhere, bumps on their arms, that type of thing. And then there's a lot of people who are just interested in terms of like weight loss and like optimal health, and want to know what they actually can digest and absorb and what foods they kind of should be staying away from. And then there's the people who get sick often and take antibiotics a lot and are suddenly learning about gut health and realize that antibiotics can be very detrimental to their gut, and want to get tested and take a look at their bacteria and see if it's diverse enough and if there's enough. So there's a lot, right? But most of the time people are dealing with symptoms that they feel very insecure about, and they want to improve that. And that's not just with Viome, that's with like people doing any type of health tests, basically. That's, I mean, it's same with me. Like that's how I got into health, was I was dealing with symptoms and signs that I was insecure about, and they were affecting me every single day. And when you get to that point, you'll basically do anything to fix it, right?
To make it a little bit more tangible, I'll be vulnerable. When I got the Viome test, I was having chronic diarrhea and I couldn't really figure it out. And obviously that's a major interference in life patterns, right? Some other people might have major gas and bloating. Bloating's obviously a terrible one in the summer season, right? These are some surface level issues, but how can they affect us and kind of pull us away from, let's say, a lot of the guys on my channel want to build muscle. You know, like how can gut issues get in the way of building muscle if you've got a answer for that?
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind with something like that is how much protein you're taking in. I think people just assume that macros in equals macros out and means that you're actually absorbing them fully, but it's not necessarily the case. So you could be taking all the protein powder and all eating whatever that's high in protein, but if you're dealing with something like leaky gut, where, you know, the lining of your gut has holes in it and the protein's actually falling into the bloodstream, which causes inflammation and issues, that means you're actually not absorbing the protein. So it's actually not as beneficial as you think it is every time you have it. And the only way to find out about something like that is by getting tested, right? Like you're never going to wake up and be like, oh, I have leaky gut. Like you got to get the data, you got to get the information behind it. So that's the first thing that comes to mind for that.
Yeah, I think that's a great example. One of the first experiences I had with that whole concept of not absorbing enough protein is when I was having these chronic diarrhea issues. I knew I wasn't absorbing things because I would eat things that would run right through me. And the problem was, I was like, there's no way I'm absorbing the 200 grams of protein I'm eating. So one of the first things I did was I got on digestive enzymes to help me kind of break apart the stuff and digest more of it. Like I wanted more amino acids out of the protein that I was eating. And lo and behold, like when I started taking those, I started gaining more muscle. And it was weird because you would never be like, oh, digestive enzymes build muscle. Like that's not one of the muscle building supplements that people recommend. It's actually not. I just released a video on muscle building supplements. I didn't even mention it because, you know, it's not one that you typically think of, but we all know protein and amino acids drive muscle building. So if anything's messed up in your gut, even by like 10%, you know, you're going to be missing out a lot of muscle gains, right? So anything you can do to fix the gut is going to help you build muscle, improve your health, like whether that's endurance, sexual performance, brain health, all that, right? The gut, like your ability to digest amino acids is so important.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, amino acids are like the building blocks for so much, just like you said, like not even just muscles, like hormones in general, like your mood and your sex drive and fertility, especially for women, and just so many different things like that. So if your protein intake is not what you think it is and you're struggling, like you need to get tested and get that sorted out. And it's one of those things too, like it doesn't fix itself overnight, right? Like it takes time to get tested. It takes time to implement ways to fix it. So, and it takes a lot of dedication too. A lot of work.
Yeah. And I think we can both speak to like relapses in gut health as well. Like it's not always this straight progression upwards into gut health. Like sometimes you make a big move and then you'll dip back down, make a big move, dip back down. And a lot of that has to do with environment, stress, what kind of crap you're putting in your body, all sorts of stuff. So it kind of takes this consistency and this discipline in terms of your behaviors. But I think the gut testing, like biome's probably a good start to at least see the damage if there is damage, right? Because like that which you measure improves. That's a classic cheesy quote, but it's so true. It's like until you know what's up, you don't really have a baseline to measure your health. And that's what I like about testing, whether that's blood testing, gut testing, just to get a quantifiable result to know if you're actually progressing.
Yeah, no, exactly right. And quantifying yourself is just like such a big thing in biohacking. And once you start doing it, it's hard to kind of go back to not doing it. Like, I think there is something to be said about your intuition and your health and kind of tapping into your body and understanding and feeling what's going on. And there's like a whole section of people in the wellness world who say like intuition is enough. And like intuitive eating is becoming popular too, but I don't know. I'm kind of like, I like the mixture of both. Like, I think you can marry both and get a lot of successful results from it.
Reminds me of a book that was once gifted to me when I went through my vegan phase. This girl bought me this book called, I think it was Intuitive Medicine. Have you heard of that one?
No, I haven't.
It's I think that's what it's called, but it's like far on the spectrum of like eating what you're feeling. And at the time I was with it. Like now looking back, I've definitely swung kind of the other way, like more of like the technical, let's say like atheist, if you will, from a nutritional perspective, right? Like I want to get rid of all the religious stuff in nutrition, the dogma. So I'm kind of on that spectrum. Looking back at that, like that whole like intuitive only approach it's silly, honestly, when we have such crazy tools like the Viome and blood tests.
Yeah. I mean, I understand why a lot of people are into it, and I understand why it's its own section in the health and wellness world. But I also like, I don't know if your intuition is 100% right in general. Like if you're going to intuitively eat and say, okay, I'm going to eat whatever I crave. But what if you crave sugar, and you crave sugar because you have candida overgrowth in your gut, and then you eat the sugar and then you're feeding the candida in your gut, and then you crave more sugar the next day. So like, even though you're intuitively eating what you're craving and what you think your body needs, it's actually not the healthiest thing for you to do.
Right.
So how does that work? I don't know. Some area of,
like what is intuition? Is it feeling? If it's feeling, like feeling is a biochemical reaction in our brain and body, and something drives that, whether it's environmental factors or the trillions of bacteria within.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
To each their own.
yeah, it's an interesting topic to go into, and it gets quite philosophical as well when you start to discuss like what is intuition, where does it come from?
Yeah.
Spirit, is it biological? Like what is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk about some practical takeaways for gut health, because I think we've both agreed that any improvements in gut would probably directly or indirectly help somebody build more muscle or improve their athletic performance. So what's maybe one or two things that would probably be a blanket statement or prescription, for lack of a better term, to improve somebody's gut health?
Yeah. I like the idea of digestive enzymes, which you briefly touched upon. Basically how these work is when you take them with food, they break down your food and help you just digest faster. And so a lot of people suffer with like digestive inefficiency, where it's like most of the time it's too slow, as in their food is in their gut for too long. So when you're taking something like a digestive enzyme, you're breaking it down faster, you're absorbing it faster, and you're getting it out faster. And so that is amazing. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it causes more bowel movements or diarrhea. It's more complicated than that. It's not like it's not a laxative, right?
Not at all.
But in terms of absorbing food and getting the most nutrients out of food, digestive enzymes are amazing for that. And so basically everybody should be on them. The other cool thing about them, which I just had a podcast guest about this, or a podcast episode about this, is that you can't actually become reliant on them. So one of my things that I was thinking about is, if I take them with every single meal, will my body become reliant on them for digestion? And then if I don't use them, am I gonna suffer? But it's actually not like that. And it's which is good to know. And so, yeah, you can just continue taking them, and like, I love them. And I take a bunch of them, especially if I eat anything that is out of the norm for me. So like pizza or alcohol or whatever it is, and it can really help reduce the inflammation from that as well.
Yeah. Did you recently have Matt on the podcast?
I had Wade Lightheart.
There you go.
He's such a gem.
Wade's a G. He was part of the 40 years of Zen crew that we went with. So I got to spend some time with him one-on-one. He's a really cool guy. Like,
yeah,
really present.
Yes. So nice. Like, oh, he's just such a nice guy.
Yeah.
Also his company is great too.
Yeah, his company, the Wade and Matt, they own Biooptimizers. It's masszymes.com. If you guys want to check out the enzymes, I've been taking these enzymes for like probably 7 years at this point.
Wow.
Matt's a good friend of mine.
Nice.
So yeah, he's the creator, him and Wade.
Yeah.
But yeah, great enzymes, and I agree with that. I think digestive enzymes everybody could probably use. Are there any big like no-nos in terms of things to eat? Like, what's your stance on something like gluten, or if there's something bigger than gluten that you would tell everybody to avoid for overall gut health?
Yeah, I don't love gluten. I think it's fine in small amounts, but it's just so inflammatory for most people, and it's so processed at this point. It doesn't look like what it looked like 100 years ago, or probably even 50 years ago now. So I think most people do have some sort of reaction to it, but bigger than gluten would just be sugar in general. Like, it still boggles my mind. Like yesterday I was in Costco, and I try not to judge what people put in their carts, but as a nutritionist, it just happens. And people just load them with like soda and chips and chocolate and everything. And it boggles my mind that people still eat like this. Like, it's not even food at this point. Like, I don't even know what to call it. It's just like manufactured things that you can put in your mouth from I don't even know, from across the ocean, like across the sea. Like, yeah. So sugar is just so inflammatory and causes so many issues, and it's so addictive. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I would say sugar is definitely the hardest thing for me. That's what I come back to more than gluten, more than anything else.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting point, like what you said about it's not even food anymore. It's been so long since I've had like candy bars off the shelf, like let's say Snickers or like Twix.
Yeah.
When I kind of look at it now, or look at, you know, people putting Doritos in their car, it's almost like this dystopian society that's been here for quite some time. But it's, I just picture these like fat whales just shoving these almost like pills of calories or like nutrients into their, like seriously, like I can envision it. It's kind of like this black and white, like pimply fat whales just shoving these like pill of calories, like with no taste, like no nutritional value. It's just kind of this weird thing, and it's not their fault. I'm not blaming the fat whales. Like I think it's a damn shame that like those things are cheaper than an organic apple, you know. But it's not necessarily their fault. It is their fault once they become aware of the knowledge and continue to stay in that loop. I believe that.
I think I think it's a socioeconomic systemic problem, right? Like it's way more complicated than just like buy vegetables and stop buying chips. Like that's not the solution. The solution, it's such a massive problem at this point that the solution has to be like multifactual, like multi-layered, like coming in from the government, coming in from organizations, coming in from companies on an individual level, like, because it's so complex. And I don't know, sometimes I don't blame people who make those decisions, right? Like if you look at the marketing as well behind these things, like Coke Zero has what, 0 calories? I don't even know. I don't drink it. But so you grab that off the shelf and you think, oh, 0 calories, this is fine. I can drink 5 of these a day because it has 0 calories. And they don't understand the other ingredients in it. They don't understand how much caffeine might be in it. I don't know. So it's complicated and it's sad. It's honestly, it's sad that we're at this point, but yeah.
Yeah. It even goes into the bodybuilding community, which is really funny. Not funny. It's sad that like you'll see teenagers and even grown men bodybuilders who will drink like Diet Coke or something like that. They're trying to optimize their body and they're just counting calories. Like they're doing the, if it fits in your macros thing. And it's like, no, like it should be more like if it fits in your micros, right?
Yeah. I mean, you even see that with keto, right? Like dirty keto, which is like,
I've done such dirty keto in the past when I tried all the cheese, all
the bacon, all the like high fat, everything. And then it's keto, so it's fine. And it's like, no, like this is the wrong way to look at it. But it's same with like vegan, right? Like you can be vegan and you can eat like chips and certain chocolate bars and certain candies because there's no dairy or animal products in it, but you're vegan and then you think you're healthy. Like, so there's, no,
the
labels are just,
we've probably both been through those phases, right? To know that. Did you ever have a dirty healthy phase? Like for example, stocking up on the gluten-free snacks, or did you ever do that?
Yeah, I think I did that a bit. I think my biggest one was like, I was over fasting for so long, like intermittent fasting. And so that was problematic. And it took me a long time to see that. That's probably the worst like health thing I've ever done is like fasted for too long. Yeah.
That's an interesting one. What would you consider is too long?
So I was intermittent fasting, but I was doing it every single day. And I probably did it every day for like 3 years or something like that. And it just screwed up my hormones.
Got you. So you're not saying like a certain window of fasting was the problem. It was the length of being on it for 3 years with no break.
Yeah. It was the repetitive nature of it. It was relying on caffeine to get through the fast in the morning. So it's just like black coffee, like, so no calories, but, so relying on the caffeine obviously is going to tax your adrenals. And it's just too stressful for the body. Like for females, especially, like my menstrual cycle went out the window. I lost so much weight. But when I was in it, I was like, oh, this is so great. Like I'm just going to eat between 12 and 8 and I can eat whatever I want during this window. Although mind you, is still pretty healthy, but yeah, it ended up biting me in the butt. So now I have to be really careful with fasting. Hey, sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. I guess it got cut off, but I think that was really interesting. You're saying how how fasting was kind of like not working for you, and I was curious on what were some of the signals of like why did you start thinking fasting wasn't working for you? Also, how did you isolate the cause of that versus something else?
It's a good question. So when I started fasting, I was on birth control at the time. I had an IUD. And so and that was probably for the first year. So I was unaware of any impact on my hormones because I didn't have a cycle, didn't have a period, had nothing to measure, right? Was quite a low body fat percentage. And so it was fine. And then I got my IUD taken out. And then for the following year, my cycle was okay. Like it was pretty good. But then I think in the fall of 2019 or something like that, maybe middle of 2019, my cycles got longer and longer and my ovulation kept getting delayed. And so typically when that happens, your body is too stressed and there's something going on that the body doesn't feel safe enough to release an egg for you to get pregnant. Right?
I'm sure all my guys can relate.
So I knew something was wrong. And like, of course, running my own business and like, of course, there's other life stress. But I kept hearing about fasting for women and it potentially not working. And I was like, oh, like, I don't think this is working anymore.
Yep.
So it took a while. It took a while to actually get my appetite back in the morning. And still, I don't have it. I have it. It kind of hits around 10 a.m. now, like doesn't hit at 7 or 8 or anything like that. So I start eating around 10 now, but yeah, it took a while to transition. And then once I stopped fasting, my cycle started to get better and my mood started to get better and everything kind of regulated more because I was eating like throughout the day better. So
gotcha. Yeah, it sounded like your circadian rhythm started getting back into entrainment with the world's natural course, right?
Yeah.
But I think you hit on something really important there. Like by the time your hormones are messing up, things are seriously wrong. Like that's probably one of the later things to mess up in the body. I don't have data on that. I'm just common sense is saying like by the time like a girl loses her period or a guy can't get hard in bed, like other things are going seriously wrong behind the scenes first. So and then it's crazy how literally you just stop fasting, hormones seem to correct themselves. I'm sure it was quite the process and probably not just an instant thing, or correct me if I'm wrong, but that's pretty wild. So just stopping fasting. Was there anything else that was going on pre all of it, pre discovery of the fasting? Like was there too much work stress? Was there were you doing anything else kind of radical or different, like injecting Russian peptides?
I think so. When I was in New Zealand, so we were traveling for quite a while. This is like pre-pandemic. I was working out so much and loved it. But again, like finishing up school, writing exams, working out 6 days a week, fasting every single day. Like your body's just like, I don't care how healthy you are. I don't care if you're a biohacker. This is not working. Right. So I really had to learn how to balance that out. And I'm still doing that now because now I'm at a point where I want to bring back fasting, but how do I do it in a way that it's not going to mess things up? So do I fast at the second half of my cycle after I ovulate so that I'm not stressing my body and so that things can kind of keep going? Or do I fast like 1 or 2 days a week? And same with working out. Like, what does working out look like so that I can keep the body I want to keep, which sounds hilarious, but it's true. But without overdoing it. Right. And so it's hard when you're in the biohacking world and it's all about like optimizing your health and optimizing yourself. And I love that, but it's very easy to take it too far. And so I'm trying to find the balance now between having the results I want and not taking it too far to get bad results in the future type of idea.
Yeah, I think guys and girls alike have to balance this idea of like their optimal physique and one of the and health. And one of the big challenges of that is our ideal physiques are painted by social media, and the people we're following who are models and the people who have the physiques we're aspiring to, that's all they freaking do. They're just training and eating and laying by the pool. And obviously, like they gotta make their money. They gotta do their merch. They gotta do all sorts of stuff. Like everyone's different too. Like I'm not speaking for everybody, but a lot of these people with the amazing physiques are just training. And then we're looking at that and we're like, we've got an 80-hour work week and we're trying to look like them too.
Yep.
And that's when we drive the adrenals, crash them to the floor, crash our natural production of cortisol and all sorts of stuff. And the energy plummets. We're drinking a lot of caffeine. We're fasting in the morning. We're training fasted. We're working till midnight. And then life goes to shit. And we wonder why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I'm not even at that point anymore. Like, so I don't follow anybody who makes me question how I feel about myself. And I unfollowed a lot of people like a few years ago. And I know a lot of people do that now. Like they're very aware. But I'm at the point now where I have to create so much content for my business, put my face out there, put my body out there, that I'm so aware of what I look like and so aware of my health that it's too much. And I just talked about this on social media. I was like, people don't understand that when you have a following and you're expected to show up, you have to create so much content, so many videos, so many photos of yourself, and then you have to edit them so you can understand very easily how good you can look once you edit your photos versus what the photos look like. Like it plays with your mind so much. And I know this is a tangent, like totally different, but it's not any easier when you have a following because the expectations are there. And then to maintain them is just difficult. Like it's just, there's some days where I'm like, I don't want to put my face out there. Like, I don't want to be on social media. I don't want people like, I just want to be by myself in my room and not have my phone.
Yeah, I think it's a valuable tangent because let's take somebody who is listening to this and they just want to do well in business and they're not even trying to do like what you're doing or what I used to do in the past, which is like kind of like building cloud around your knowledge for nutrition or promote your fitness or health business, right? Like, cause that's got certain expectations for how you look. But even if you're just trying to do business, like currently I make all my money and income through my marketing agency, and I have zero social media because I don't want to participate in that. Like I have posts from probably back when we met and I haven't really posted since. It's been like 2 years, a year and a half since I've really been engaging on social media. But now, like, just to be relevant, like if you actually want to be in any field at this point, you have to continually post on some type of platform and be putting your face out there. And I'm talking about higher levels. Like, yeah, you can work jobs, but if you're an entrepreneur and you want to build your thing to a certain level that's actually recognized in any industry, like you got to be putting your face out there. You got to look awesome, or so the perception is. And that creates pressure for our health, for our bodies. And then also like the hustle culture, really like grinding yourself in that way. So I relate, and I'm sure other people relate too, because I've got a lot of people following who are, trying to unlock their prime in their lives and be animals at what they do. They're really ambitious. So I think that's valuable to talk about. And maybe we could steer towards that. and I know we're coming up on time here. I want to respect your time, but I think it's valuable to talk about achieving balance with health and work. So I'm curious for you, since you've had a lot of experience in this, what routine have you kind of settled into at this moment in your life? Because you're building a business, you look great. I saw you on Instagram, like you look like you're in your peak shape. So congrats on that. And like, I want to know how you've been doing that. Like how many, if you're open to it, and if not, you can tell me and we can cut it. But like, how many hours do you work per day versus like how much do you spend on your physique?
On my physique. Yeah, these are great questions. How many hours do I work a day? I don't even know. It depends.
I know it's hard because like with posting on social media, like the entrepreneurial lifestyle, it's all like, if you asked me that question, I would probably be fumbling around like 4, maybe 8, maybe 12. I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard too, because with the pandemic, I find I'm working so much now because there's nothing else to do. Like I'm at home, so I might as well work. Right. Do you know what I mean? And when it's your own business and your own brand, there's always more that you can be doing. So it kind of just trickles on. Like I work weekends all the time. And when I'm at the point where when I don't work weekends, I almost feel stressed about it, because I put like my deep work onto the weekends, because I know that I won't be interrupted and there's no other pressure for me to do anything else. And I actually get a lot of shit done. But like last weekend, I went camping and I went off grid for 3 days and it was great. But I came back on Monday and I was like, fuck, like I still have so much to do. Right. And it's hard. The balance is hard. Like I don't even know what to say. Like it takes a lot of dedication and a lot of perseverance, and you just got to keep going. And some days totally suck and you feel so discouraged and you feel like, am I even getting results? Am I doing what I'm doing is even helping? Is it making me fitter? Is it making my business grow? Like, is it even helping? And I go through that a lot. And what I've started to realize is I think I'm my own worst, not enemy, but like, I think I get in my own way a lot, you know, with like being a solo entrepreneur and not having a team to bounce ideas off of, and like making decisions by myself all of the time, which so many people do, like all influencers, well, like smaller influencers, it's the same thing. Right. And so it's hard. Like the mental health aspect of it is really tough.
Yeah. I appreciate you opening up about that. It's been something I've struggled with for a long time. I mean, I've been self-employed since I was 20 or 21, 27 now. So it's about 7 years. And most of it, I'd say the first 5.5 were complete isolation the whole time. Like I was living pandemic lifestyle before the pandemic happened. You know, I would literally like, there would be stretches where I wouldn't leave my place for 3 weeks, like literally not walk out the front door. And that's super, super unhealthy. But I would say what I've kind of settled into is being okay with being unbalanced. And that's become really helpful. Like I heard this from an entrepreneur one time at one of those get rich seminars, and most of it was garbage, but 10% was great. And part of that 10%, the guy said, like, look, stop pursuing work-life balance and just be okay with being unbalanced for a little bit, because you can be balanced later. And that period might have to be 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, 20 years. But eventually, like, it'll come around if you hold that as a sight in mind. So I can totally relate. Just speaking from personal experience, like having gone through it for like 7 years at this point, I'm okay with having phases of grind, and then phases of, for example, like you go do a camping trip, or maybe you have 2 or 3 weeks where you just pull off the gas a little bit and then pump back in. So like if you're grinding out 8 to 10 hour work days for a couple weeks straight, then be okay with like 2 to 4 hour days for a week or two, and like not going that extra mile for maybe 2 weeks and then coming back refreshed, because it's a marathon, not a sprint.
It's hard though. It's hard to, yeah, I just have high expectations of myself, I guess. I don't know, maybe most people do, but like pumping out a 4-hour workday, I'd be like irritated with myself for doing that, you know?
Yeah.
And I definitely don't do sometimes 12-hour days, but like I definitely don't sacrifice my sleep. Like I'm very like in bed at 9:15, 9:30. Like I'm very, very strict on sleep, and I'm pretty good with diet and other things too. But it's hard. There's like almost an addiction to productivity, right? Like an addiction to working. And when it's yeah.
What's your Enneagram?
Which one is that one again? Is that the numbers?
That's the numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a 3.
Yeah. That's what I was going to guess. I'm a 3 too. And a lot of entrepreneurs are, and
yeah.
And I don't know if you remember the description of it, but it's like, we'll stop at nothing to appear successful. The unhealthy version is like, we fake success. And then the healthy version expression of a 3 is like actually being successful just to be successful, not really caring about how others perceive us. But with that trait, like 3s are the most common to overwork and get that addiction to productivity and optimization. Like if you're not optimizing, if you're not like using your time in a way that's progressing you, like you get seriously disinterested. And it's funny because I can tell that with you, like at the beginning of our conversation, it's like that little subtle anxiety of like, okay, we're kind of like easing into what we're going to be talking about. And I have that too, because I see like a reflection in you where it's like, until we're on topic and producing what we want to produce, it's kind of this anxiety.
Oh yeah. Right? Like, let's get to the point.
Yeah.
Oh, so funny. Well, you and I are very similar. We've known this for a long time. It's very weird. Have you done human design before?
What's that?
Oh, it's like it's kind of like Enneagram, but it's just another test. There's only 5 different things that you can be, and it's based off of where you were born, and I think the time you were born as well. And it says a lot about you, and it says a lot about what type of like worker you are.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, can you link me that?
Yeah, well.
Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. This was great
to reconnect with you. And for the people who are watching and they want to go ahead and reach out to you, maybe work with you as a coach, check out your Instagram. Give me your links. I know you're at Biohacking Brittany on Instagram. What's the other stuff?
Biohackingbrittany.com. It's basically my name, my business everywhere. info@biohackingbrittany is my email. If you just want to email me directly, that works too.
Cool. And are you taking on clients right now? So you're doing consulting?
Yeah, I am doing consulting right now. Cool. For sure.
All right, guys, go check her out. And Brittany, thanks so much. And we'll talk soon.
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you for having me.